Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with David Hicks, the CEO of HomeVestors of America, the We Buy Ugly Houses people who are the #1 buyers of houses in the United States. Welcome to the call, David.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you for having me on the call.
David, you grew your company's revenue from $34.6 million in 2014 to $78.8 million in 2017, a 128% increase, and in 2018, you grew your business another 35%. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
I sure can, Malcolm. We're a franchise company. We have franchise all over the United States. In fact, we're in 170 different markets. And as you heard on the slogan, people don't know HomeVestors, but they know the billboards. We buy ugly houses. And that's what our franchisees are known for, is we buy that ugliest house in the neighborhood, fix it up, and sell as the prettiest house. And so that's kind of what we do. Again, we're in 170 different cities and 46 different states all over the U.S.
All right, fantastic. Now, are there other companies that do what you do? And if so, how do you do it differently?
There is no franchise company that does what we do. There's really no competition to do what we do nationwide. Our competitors are the guys that buy houses locally in the market, that have a pickup and a ladder in the back, and they go buy houses locally. That's who our competitors are. There's no organized competitor. So the way we differentiate is our franchisees, they have kind of the best of both worlds. They want to own their own business. They're each independently owned and operated, so they have their own business, but they have the support and the backing and the training of a nationwide company. So that's what sets us apart.
All right, fantastic. Now, can you share a little details of what support you provide your franchisees?
Absolutely. And new franchisees coming in, Malcolm, we literally help them learn how to buy, how to price the houses. We have all the technology to support and back them. We have, for example, an iPad app that we call Value Check, that a franchisee can go in and they can input or bring in all the details of a house, from square foot to bedrooms to bathrooms. Then when they look at the house, they go click on that it needs a new roof and it needs painting and it needs whatever. And it helps them come up with a repair estimate of what's going to take to estimate to repair the house and bring it up to standards. And then it gives them a recommended number they ought to buy the house at. And so that's part of what we supply them, is just the technology tools to do that. The second thing we supply is the training, just how to get started, how to run their business. Then more advanced training on how to, they learn from other franchises, how to rehab better, how to go all the different intricacies of our business. The third thing we supply them is a mentor. Every franchise that comes in gets a coach, what we call a development agent, that helps them develop their business and build their business. These are our more experienced franchises that work there, that just really walk them through the whole process. And then the fourth thing is just the marketing and the advertising support. The We Buy Ugly Houses trademark, and we own those. We have 22 trademarks around ugly houses, and we have all the proven advertising that helps generate leads, that helps them find the houses to buy.
The leads are for people who want to sell the homes, or also for people who want to buy the rehabbed homes?
That's to sell. And then we also have all the sites to help them sell it. Although in today's market, that's easy. There are a lot of people wanting to buy houses, but we have the processes to help them sell too. But that's for the sellers. The reality is we say we make our money when we buy the house, because finding the houses is where the tough part is right now.
Yeah. Now, the franchisees who are buying these homes, are they also the ones who are going through and doing the rehab themselves, and they providing the capital to do all that themselves?
That yes, they're the ones. Now the capital. First of all, we do the training on how to do the rehab. Most of them subcontract the rehab. Somebody's going to buy 1 or 2 houses a year. They can absolutely go do that themselves, but our franchise don't do that. Most of them will buy. In fact, our top ones last year bought over 150 houses for the year. You can't rehab 150 houses, so they have crews. They have so we teach them how to do that. So that process, yes. Then we also will lend them the money to buy the house. We'll lend the money to repair the house as long as they qualify and the houses qualify. We also, Malcolm, that's one of the reasons our franchises love us and what we do. For example, we just created a lending portal. We have 7 lenders in that portal. So when a franchise has a house to buy, they can input it in that lending portal, and we help them find the best rate from lenders to help them find the money to buy the house.
And this is separate from your company providing capital as well?
That's correct. Yeah,
okay.
we're an 8th lender, but we got 7 other lenders that will help them find the money.
Right. Okay, great. Now, can you share some details as to how much it costs for a franchisee to buy a franchise license or franchise territory?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're a territory. They become part of an ad council in the territory. The franchise, we have 2 levels of franchise. Most people start at what we call an associate franchise. And that franchise is $27,000 to get the franchise. And the full franchise is $65,000. But most people start an associate, and they can upgrade anytime. The associate has a little bit lower fees, costs a little bit less up front, and then they can upgrade anytime they want to.
And what do they get for the additional $40,000 or so to become a full franchisee?
They get, their fees are less ongoing. So the associate franchise is a lower entry price, a little bit higher fees, and that's why most people start there because they have. Again, we want them to be able to and have the money to go do advertising, do other stuff. And so most people start at that level. They go buy a few houses, and then whenever they're ready, they can upgrade and their fees go down.
Okay. Now, what are the ongoing fees for the associate and the full franchise programs?
They vary. It goes anywhere from 5% down to 0.8%. Based on their sales. The more they sell, the lower the fees go. Okay,
so it's 5% is based on the buying price or the
sales price? The sales price.
So after they rehab the home and they sell.
That's right. That's correct. Okay. And the reality is that's when they have their money, and so they pay a minimum fee when they buy it, and but most of it they pay when they sell the house, which is when they have their money.
Okay. Now, how many territories have you offered it already, or that are already taken?
We're in 170 different cities, but they're not exclusive territories. We have franchise. For example, we have 44 franchises in Houston. And they all work together because they're too big. We target an advertising level they can spend within a city, and but they work together, and the leads, we have a very, when they pool their money advertising-wise, the leads are separated based on how much money they spent.
So the franchisees are paying for their own advertising?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. And how does that tie into the advertising that you're doing, or is that separate, or is it together?
Well, we do advertising for franchise and stuff on top of that. The franchisees all do their own advertising for sellers that want to sell their house to them. And what happens in an ad council, Malcolm, like if we were in the same ad council and you could advertise whatever level you want to, and I advertise the level I want to, and we have a sophisticated rotation system. So if we pool our advertising, we place it together, and if you put 5,000 in and I put 1,000 in, then you would get 5 leads for every one I get. And they just rotate to you. So the leads are pretty much exclusive, but the advertising. We have everything from direct mail to billboards, to TV advertising, to radio advertising, to online pay-per-click and SEO, and it's all handled through our ad agency.
Right. Okay, got it. Now, can you share some of the success rates? Like, 100, you sign up 100 franchisees, people with no experience at all to start with in real estate. A year later, how many of them are still going ahead with the program?
We have a very low rate we lose, and I'll tell you, Malcolm, of all the ones that we do. For example, we got 1,000 franchises, and I think we lost 44 last year or something like that total for every reason, which is a very small rate to lose.
Right.
And they of those, most of them were buying their first when they bought 2 houses or less. They just never got started doing it. We lose very few franchises after they buy more than 2 houses. It just yes, it happens, but it's not very often.
Yeah. And when you screen your franchisees, what expectations do you give them? Realistic expectations do you give them about how long it's going to take for you to find your first home to buy? How long will it take for you to rehabilitate them, and then how long will it take for them to sell it?
Great question. And Malcolm, we, like every franchisor, we're regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, and we do not do any earnings claims. We don't do anything we cannot legally. When somebody wants to come in, the first thing they do is they fill out what we call a request for consideration, and that tells us a little bit about them, and we send them that franchise disclosure document. It is over 300 pages long, and so it's going to take if they print it, it's more than half a ream of paper to print out. But it tells them everything about us, and it tells them the success rate. It tells them how many have left the system. It tells them everything. Have our whole financials for the last 3 years and everything in it. So we cannot and we do not hide anything.
Okay.
But and it shows them how many, what the average, total, how many houses we bought, everything. But the reality is, our franchises, the expectations depends on what their goals are. We have some people that they're happy buying 3 or 4 houses a year, and you know what? If they're happy buying that many, we are too. We have some that buy 150 houses a year, and of course we're excited for them. But they can do the level of business they want to do, whatever it is.
Okay. So, what can you share with us today about the success rates of people who joined the program from scratch?
Well, that's one of the best things about it. First of all, again, we cannot give anything that's going to come to an earnings claim because that's illegal to do that. Now, I will tell you, when a new franchise comes in, after they send the FTD, it has every franchise in the market that's there, and it has that they can literally, when they're ready, they can contact franchises and ask them their numbers, and they can do that. So it is absolutely fine to do that. I will tell you, probably it's interesting, the people around us, it's and a great example, my son just graduated from college, and I am supporting him buying a franchise. And so he is a new franchisee just coming out of college. We are, and one of the questions you're probably going to ask is who we're looking for in franchises. And I will tell you, Malcolm, we prefer people that, in fact, 80% of our award winners never bought a house before they join us.
Okay.
80% of our top franchises never bought a house. We prefer those that are coming in and learn our processes, follow our processes, and we can teach them how to do. If they'll go do the effort, we can give them the knowledge to learn and be successful in our business. But them succeeding is up to them. They have to be willing to put the effort in.
Okay. So, what are your minimum requirements to consider a franchisee?
We do, great question. We do on every franchise. First of all, we go do a background check. We want to make sure they're representing us and representing the company. They're independently owned and operated, but they're represent our good name. And so we do a background check and make sure that and a credit check on them and just make sure they're a good citizen. They have to have a minimum of 70,000 liquid assets to do that. From there, we're really looking for somebody that has some experience, that or something to show they're willing to go do the work and do that. And I tell you what, a great example, we have an awful lot of ex-athletes that do real well with us because they're used to going and putting in the effort it takes to succeed at something. We're more interested in somebody that really wants to learn the real estate business and wants to, is coachable and is willing to go, learn and go through what it takes to learn to run their own business. That's what we're looking for. Our company and our best franchises, they have that entrepreneurial spirit of having their own thing, but they also are willing to work within a system and work within to be coachable, to be able to learn something. That's what we're looking for.
Right. Okay. And how do your franchisees perform when the real estate market is not so great, when prices are trending down as opposed to trending up?
Yeah, great question. We started franchising in 1996, so we've been through up markets, we've been through down markets, and the franchisees, our whole model, Malcolm, is they sell the houses within 90 to 120 days when they buy it. And as long as they're selling the house in the same market they buy it, which is within that 90 to 120 days, they will do well with it. And we had franchises through the Great Recession of 2008 that went all the way through that did great. And so they were, so they can do well in any market. I will tell you right now, there's a lot of heated markets in the country in real estate, or for a lot of our franchises would like them to slow down just a little bit. But they need to learn different things. We find in today's market, the tough part is finding the houses, not selling them.
Yep.
When the market slows down, sometimes it's easier to find them than to sell them. So they have to be a little bit pickier, making sure that they buy houses that they can, in neighborhoods, they can sell more quickly.
Right.
Our franchisees' customers fall into two groups. One is first-time homebuyers, and second is investors. That's the two biggest groups, because we're not buying big houses. We're buying the smaller houses under the median price. And I don't care what kind of market there is, there are always first-time homebuyers, and there are always investors looking to buy houses. But so when the market slows down, our franchisees have to learn to find the houses that first-time homebuyers are looking for, and make sure that in every neighborhood there are always houses selling. There just may be more for sale. Mm-hmm. And so if the market slows down, they need to price their houses a little bit so that price it in such a way that it's going to be the next one to sell in that neighborhood.
Right. Okay.
And if it's priced that way and if it looks that way, so they have to make it to where when they rehab a house, it is rehabbed to the standards of the neighborhood or slightly above, mm-hmm. and priced slightly below. And if they do that, it'll always sell.
Right. And I guess the key is making sure that when you buy the home initially, that your margin is still big enough, adequate enough to cover your costs.
That's exactly right. People get in trouble is when they push the price that they're paying for a house, and now they skimp on the rehab, mm-hmm. and they try to price it at the top of the market, and that house may not sell.
Right.
If you buy it right, and then you rehab it to where it is at or slightly above the market standards, and then you price it below it, you're going to sell it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the homes that typically aren't looking so great, Where are they in general? Are they going to be in the markets that aren't as attractive in general, or can we find them even in the high-end luxury
Yeah,
spaces?
I tell you what, you find ugly houses are everywhere, and they really are. Because what makes an ugly house is a house that the homeowner has neglected and or not been able to do repairs. Those houses, Malcolm, that we buy, 80% of them were built in 1985 and before, and 80% of them are under 1,400 square feet. So they're not the big houses, although we do buy some of those, but they're the houses that maybe it's in fact a big percentage of them we buy are inherited houses that they inherited from the parents when they passed away, and maybe the house they grew up in. So it's a 30, 40, 50-year-old house, and it needs all the repairs a 30, 40, 50-year-old house needs.
Right.
And that the people that own it now, they don't have the money or sometimes the energy, because sometimes it's somebody that is, they're getting up in age and they just don't have the money to rehab it, to
Yep.
repair it. And sometimes they've taken real good care of the house and they're not damaged houses. Sometimes they're just aged houses. And, I remember my mother's house that I grew up in. The problem is that that the Harvest Gold appliances just don't sell today.
Right.
And
Okay.
the butcher block countertop that was real popular when I grew up just isn't popular today. And
Right.
so even though if it's in perfect shape, the tan shag carpet has to go. And so, and the wallpaper that hasn't been updated. And so that's a lot of what we buy is those houses that is going to take $20 and $30 and $40,000 to fix it up to today's standards. And the people just don't have the money or the effort to do that.
Sure. Now, to what degree are you able to help on the rehab side, or is it the franchisees are left to their own devices to find the contractors to do the work for them?
We help our development agents and the other franchises in the market also really help with that, because the new franchise coming in, they'll find they're joining a team of other franchises, and all of them they'll share with each other, which painters are the best ones and which ones. And most of the franchises, they'll get to where they have a few painters and a few they have sometimes the general contractors that does all that manages all of it for them, that they'll know which ones are the best ones. And they'll, as a group, sometimes, they kind of team up on who is good. And so our local franchise and development agents will really help a new franchise get started and how to do that. And they'll walk them through that process.
Mm-hmm. Now, why would your fellow franchisers in your area, and again, you mentioned the territory is not exclusive, right? I mean, is it, why do they have this team mentality and being able to help out other folks when in some perspectives you could think that you might be competing against each other as well?
Boy, Malcolm, that's a great question. And that is the perception of independent investors during their own. But they're going to find when they join HomeVestors, part of our culture is a team mentality. Mm-hmm. And our franchise all understand that when they're part of HomeVestors, they want them to succeed. And the reason is because in a local market, they understand that if we all, when we pool our money advertising wise, and we're not just sending direct mail, but we got billboards and we got TV, that it all works together. And so I think part of it is that we have just created that culture that is a team culture, and that our franchise really do want the others to be successful. And they want to help them be successful, and they absolutely do help them. You're going to find the two events we have two annual meetings that are nationwide meetings that our franchises come to. We just, this past December in San Antonio had over 1,000 people there. Most of the training is franchisees training other franchises. We have breakout sessions on rehab, and we have breakout sessions on all different aspects of our business. And most of those breakout sessions are either a panel or a franchise that's doing something that's really working, that's doing well, that they're training other franchises. So part of it's just our culture that they're not competing with others. It's a team mentality and team culture.
Now, if it turns out one of your franchisees are not being a team player, is that grounds for revoking their territory, their license?
I don't know that we could terminate them for that, but you're going to find the people, that once they do their due diligence, the company, and they start finding out, most of them that aren't team players don't join us. And if they do, they very quickly figure out that that isn't the way we do business.
Mm-hmm.
And others in the ad council help them with that, or they find out that, and we do have some that come in that aren't a fit, and we very quickly encourage them to sell their franchise and move on.
Right. Okay. So how much, you said before, like the associate folks, right? They're spending $27,000 or something for the.
That's correct.
Now, is that every year they spend that much, or just the first one time?
No, that's just about the franchise, one time.
One time. And then after that, it's just the percentage of sales.
That's correct. And it's they have a 5-year agreement, and then they can renew it after 5 years. And we, it sits in there. We cannot. As long as they are doing, fitting the deal. I mean, we virtually most of them renew. So.
Right. Okay. And what assurances do you give your franchisees that you're not going to, introduce 1,000 people in the same area, right? And then there aren't that many leads to go around.
Yeah, but again, the leads, as they do more advertising, they generate more leads, and so that fits. But we do, once we get to a certain point, and the level of advertising they're doing, then we do not add more franchise in that area. And we have probably 10 or so cities that we're not adding franchises now.
Okay.
And we do it in a level, Malcolm, that gives them room to grow still, so the current franchisees can grow, and so we try to manage that. And again, we're a culture that the franchise understand, and we try to really work together with them on how it is to all of our benefit that our franchisees are successful.
Right.
And so it does not help us to put too many franchises in the market where they're less likely to be successful, because we want them all to succeed.
Yep. Now, is there a website list which 10 cities are not open for new franchisees?
No, it doesn't. I don't think, and that's a good question. We do it when we have even those that aren't adding franchises. They can still inquire, because occasionally we have franchises that are ready to retire, or maybe for health reason they need to sell their franchises. So if somebody really has an interest, and a great example, we're not adding them now in Houston, but we are adding them in some of the markets around Houston, and so. They can still inquire at that point, and maybe we can, by the time they're ready to buy, then we help them match up somebody that wants to sell, if there is somebody, or put them on a waiting list, and when they're available, we let them know.
Yeah, and when someone sells a franchise, what's the pricing for that? How does that work?
That is between the buyer and the seller.
Okay.
So they can sell for whatever level they want to, and part of it depends on what they're selling. Because some of them have created staff and business that they're doing, and they're buying a level of business just like any business is. And some of them, they're just buying a license, and so we don't. That's between them.
Okay, but typically, I guess if the market is not accepting new franchisees, I would imagine the price should be over what your normal fees would be.
That's the way it happens most time. If there's absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Good to know. All right. Thanks for sharing how your franchise model works, and maybe going a bit back again. to how you grew your revenue so rapidly, 35 million in 2014 to almost 80 million in 2017, a 128% increase. And then in 2018, you grew the business again, another 35% year on year. What were the three drivers behind that sales growth?
There's several. Great question. There's several drivers that go in that, Malcolm. One of them is just the franchise growth, because we've grown. I think we're going last year 120 franchises or so that we added. So that's part of it. Just adding more franchises. And I will tell you where most of our franchises coming, that shows the strength of our brand and the strength of our franchise and the teamwork. Malcolm, over half our new franchises came from referrals of other franchises. So there's a franchise in that they refer their brother or their best friend or somebody else when they see how well they're doing. So that, again, shows the strength of our brand and the strength of our franchise network. So that's one thing, is the franchise growth. The second thing is the same-store sales. We had our same store sales increase. So the same stores growing this year over last year for each of the last 3 years have been over 20% a year.
And by same store sales, you mean the percentage of the revenue that you're getting from the franchise?
Not the revenue we're getting. The franchise, what we're tracking on there, because our concern is the health of franchise. So we're tracking the franchise's sales of properties. Are they selling more properties this year than last year? And they're growing by over 20% a year, and they have for several years. So, which that, again, we have found, Malcolm, if we're concerned about how well our franchises are doing, our revenue will take care of itself. Right, definitely. So that is the second thing that's come up. This third thing that's happened that is impacting it is as our franchise base has grown, we also have a real focus on helping our franchise find vendors, that the best vendors to give them the best supplies. And but as a franchise base have grown, we have more vendors wanting access to our franchises. So we have a pretty robust vendor program. For example, the lenders, we have the portal where 7 different lenders. When a franchise wants to borrow money for a house, it's sent out to all the lenders that fit, that this franchise fits their criteria, and they kind of compete for their business. Mm-hmm. So the lenders are paying us to be on that portal. And so the lenders, we have a lot of lenders that want to come to our meetings. And so we are creating a pretty good revenue source of lenders coming in. So that's the third. And then the fourth growth is just all the other peripheral revenue around a franchise, because as franchise do well, they advertise more, and the advertising comes through us. As franchise do better, they borrow more money, and we are lending more. And so just all the things that support the franchise network. So that all those together is where our revenue growth has come from. Okay. Now, before you said helping franchisees, number 3, to find vendors to give the best supplies. The supply of capital is one of them, lenders. What other sort of vendors are you talking about? Well, everything from Home Depot and Lowe's. We have a great program with Home Depot has been a vendor, probably our oldest vendor, and our program with them has grown a lot. And we have a franchise coming in. They automatically get a great discount for Home Depot and a rebate. So everything they buy, once they get over a certain level, Home Depot gives them a rebate. So it's better than they can get locally. We have an insurance company, was one of the things the franchises, when they buy a house, they need insurance on the house. And so we have a program that a company that Arcana that does insurance for our franchises, that they give better rates to our franchise than anybody else they give, because they know the history of it. And not only that, but they have a better product than anybody else can get with them because they're franchises. For example, our franchises have the policy they get, literally, they can go online and they can bind it themselves. Nobody has to see the property, and we're trying to find the best products for our franchises and the best service for our franchise with our vendors, and things they need to help them to make more money, to do better, but also to make doing their business of buying and selling houses simpler for them.
Right. So just to recap, the drivers of your sales growth, now that I look at the list that you gave me, all of them really seem to be hinging on your company doing the best that they can to ensure the success of the franchisees, right? And that in turn has increased the growth of your franchisee they're selling on. It's helping them buy and sell more properties, right? That's number two, the over 20% same-store sales growth. You're helping them find vendors so that they can get better pricing and ultimately get better margin. And as you're doing all that, it's helping you on the advertising side and on the margin that you're making on your lending through your own capital that you provide them.
That's exactly right. And I think the bottom line is the health and the success of our franchises. We know if our franchisees do better and that they are doing well, that they will not only do they put more effort into their business, but they also refer us to others. And that's why we're real proud of the fact that our franchise growth is coming from referrals, because that tells how happy our franchises are.
Right. Now, what's your take on having this franchise model, which, for you, it's fantastic in the sense that it doesn't require a lot of capital requirement on your end, right? Because the franchisees are the ones that are borrowing the money and, taking care of everything in terms of executing the buying, rehabbing, and selling, as opposed to you just hiring people across the nation to do this for you.
Great question. And some of, you've heard about all the people that are buying houses. The thing, Malcolm, that makes our business work is the reality. To believe that a person from Wall Street or Dallas, Texas, where we are, could buy a house in Des Moines, Iowa, and fix it up and sell it any better than a guy that lives in Des Moines, Iowa, is just I don't think there's any way we could do that.
Right. But why not hire someone to be your employee in Des Moines, Iowa, to do it for you?
Because doing that long distance, the reality is if the guy lives in Des Moines, Iowa, it's his own business, and he is putting his own effort into it, and he has the opportunity for the upside. He is going to be a lot more successful doing it. And I just don't, I have seen a lot of people trying to do rental properties long distance. I have never seen anybody long-term be successful at it.
Right.
I've seen a whole lot of people manage rentals and buying and selling properties themselves, and they do real well at it. I would rather, I would rather make a smaller piece of the pie and have the pie be a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more successful than to try to for the company to manage it all. And I just, part of the concept is I just really believe in the entrepreneurial spirit of people, and how that, and I'm watching my son, and I know he is going to be a whole lot better doing that than I could do long distance hiring somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
But not only that, you get a different quality person. Is if they're buying their own thing and they're doing their own thing, that attracts different people. If you're hiring somebody to do it, you just don't have the same level of person.
Yeah, definitely. For 2019, what do you see as your biggest sales and marketing opportunity?
I think our biggest opportunity for us is expanding in areas that we are under performing. Now, we don't have growing more into areas that we have. In fact, we've identified a dozen cities that we're doing well at. The franchisees are doing well, but we just are underrepresented there. And that's a lot in the Midwest. In fact, I just got back from Cleveland, Columbus, Seattle, just up in Seattle. a lot down in Florida, Orlando area, New York, New Jersey, those areas to where there's a great opportunity for us to grow. That we're real strong. What we find, Malcolm, is once we get 10 to 15 franchises, we go to 20 or 30 real quick.
Okay.
Just because they work so good together and work as a team.
Okay.
And so we're focusing on those cities that have that real opportunity for growth.
Okay. So when you say the cities that are underperforming, the metric there, what is that there aren't that many franchisees in those cities?
Yeah.
That's the metric.
It's not that they're underperforming. It's just that we're underrepresented there. We don't have enough people there.
Okay.
And we're finding, in fact, we've got a dozen of that where the growth has been good. And so we think they're poised to grow. Okay. That's what we're identifying.
And what are your plans can you share with us one city, for example, and share how many franchisees you currently have and how many you want to increase it over the next year?
Yeah, and great example. I was just in Seattle, and I think Seattle's got, 8 or so, and they need to have 25.
You need to have 25.
And so it's a great opportunity for growth there, 25 or 30 based on their level. Cleveland, I was just in Cleveland. I think they got 8 or 10, and again, I think they could go to 25 or 30. Orlando's another good one. New York, New Jersey, that whole area there. We could have 150 franchises there. We probably got 25 or 30 now, doing well. We're just in Chicago. Chicago's another great area that literally we could have 100 franchises in Chicago. We've got probably in all the Chicagoland, we probably got 20, and that's grown almost doubled in the last year and a half. Mm-hmm. But we need to double again the next year and maybe triple. And because they're just those are markets all doing well. The franchisees there are doing well. Yep. So the model works well there. We just need time and people to help us, good people to help us grow the markets.
Okay. So what's the plan to get to those targets? I know you just mentioned you need time and people to grow the markets. How are you going to find the people? How are you going to find the right franchisees to come on board?
We are, and that's why we've been visiting those markets and talking to our current franchises and getting referrals there. We also have some great development agents in those areas that are helping build the markets. That growth will come. But it almost always comes from the referrals of the current franchises there. And we find once we get to a certain level, their referrals and other people seeing their successes, it just builds on each other.
Yeah. How about outright marketing? Putting an ad up for people. Are you interested in becoming a real estate investor? Right. Something.
Yeah, we do that.
Does that do that?
Yeah, we do that. In fact, we have ads in Entrepreneur and all the magazines. We do a lot of pay-per-clicks, and we're trying to target those now in certain areas based on it.
Yeah. How are those campaigns working? Are they generating enough franchisees that it makes sense to
absolutely. We're going fast. We just one of the things we spent we've spent a lot of time on a website, HomeVestorsFranchise.com, that is aimed at those that want to find out about the franchise. We spend a lot of effort building that, and especially doing SEO for those specific areas that we're looking at. So we are now doing a lot of SEO work targeting those areas. We did some the last couple years on a couple areas that have had great success with it. Now we're expanding it to the areas that we've identified are next.
Okay. Have you found that your cost of franchisee acquisition is looking pretty good from your pay-per-click ad campaigns?
Yeah, it is. Pay-per-click is probably the best area, again, is referrals. That's where we focus, and we encourage our current franchises to do that. And we recognize those that do a lot. That's by far the best as far as acquisition, because there's very little cost to that.
Yep.
The other areas, the pay-per-click and the advertising, all of it's important because part of it's building our brand. And as we've grown, we spent more in there. We have more to spend to do that. And I think that's part of what's fueling our growth, and that we're able to do the pay-per-click, do all the stuff to do that.
Yeah.
So.
But have you worked out the numbers to say, yeah, we ran this campaign and it's costing us $10,000 to acquire a new franchisee from a pay-per-click campaign, something to that effect?
Yeah, we have. It's less than that. We have, in fact, in the last year and a half, we've hired a lady that's helping manage it, and we're looking at where, in fact, she is managing how many leads we've gotten from which different campaign, and which advertising deal, and how many of them turned results, and we're trying to more manage that. Before the last couple of years, it was a guess. Now we're really trying to use the same metrics we do for seller leads and generating franchise leads, and we've had pretty good success with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, just from, if you're spending less than 10,000, much less than 10,000 on pay-per-click ads to acquire a new franchisee, and if the franchisees are paying you, minimum 27,000, I mean, you're ahead of the game.
Yep,
right
absolutely.
There. And even then, you think of the lifetime value of them, right? I mean, very few of them drop off. They continue doing business for themselves, and you continue earning fees from that. I mean, it's the ROI you're getting is tremendous on that.
Yep. So, and I think part of it is, Malcolm, the reason what really pays off for us is not just the leads, but when we do get a lead and they find out and they start checking onto it, we have a pretty good success ratio of them joining us because when they see the success of the current franchises and they start talking to some franchises, I think the conversion rate is real indicative of what kind of opportunity that the franchise really is.
Right. 3 last questions for you.
Okay.
If you were to have a billboard up to attract potential franchisees to your business, what would be your 6-second message on that billboard? Because people typically, when they're driving by a billboard on the freeway, they only have 6 seconds to see it and read it.
Great questions. In fact, we have done some of that. And really our billboards, we buy ugly houses. When we put the billboards up in markets that we've had, we just simply had a trailer, franchise available. And it's amazing how that has generated activity when they see it there. Our "We Buy Ugly Houses" slogan is so unique.
Yeah, it is.
And the trademark is very memorable. And it's amazing how people start coming out of the woodwork looking at that. And
right.
So,
it is good.
So I think it's tagging on to our current advertising is what has been some success for us.
Yep, definitely. And can you share with me, and I know we've talked about this quite a bit already in our conversation, but maybe recap again who your ideal franchisees are and the best way for them to reach your team?
Great question. Our ideal one, Malcolm, is we call them corporate refugees. It's people that are used to the support of a company, of a big company, but they're tired of working for somebody else. They want their own deal. So they have that entrepreneur spirit, but they want to have the support. So that's probably our ideal person. Could be almost any age. I mean, we have franchises that from in the low 20s, like my son is, all the way up to the elderly. Sorry about that. So
No
it
trouble.
could be any level in between. We have male, female. We have them every everything you can imagine. They can be, and they've all done well with us. The thing that we're looking for more than anything is we're looking for somebody that desire to go learn to be a real estate investor.
Right.
And if they have that desire, we can help them with the knowledge of doing it.
Fantastic. And the best way for them to reach you?
The best way is just simply go to HomeVestorsFranchise.com. They can on there they can read about us, see about us, and then say when they want more information, just ask for more information, and we will absolutely follow up with them.
Okay. And for those who are listening to this interview, can you spell out HomeVestorsFranchise.com, because it's not a typical spelling?
Yeah, HomeVestors.com, just HomeVestors.com. They can also go to WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Down at the bottom, it has a link that goes there to take them off. Or HomeVestors, HomeVestors.com. That also has a link that takes them to the HomeVestorsFranchise.com too.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for joining us today, David, and sharing how you accelerated your company's high-value sales.
Very good. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Thank you for having me on your show.
We've been speaking with David Hicks, the CEO of HomeVestors of America, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit Eversprint.com.